I love acting. You can probably tell by my dramatic mannerisms and theatrical quirks about me. But while I love acting in front of a camera, I must say, I feel much more at home acting behind a microphone. This is where our story begins. When it comes to voice acting, I have many people I look up to. Jim Cummings, Mel Blanc, Billy West, a whole slew of them. But in recent years, and in years past, there is one voice actor who gets very little credit in my opinion. His name is Tony Jay, and he is one of the greatest voice actors who ever lived. Although he is not with us today, he would very much have appreciated the admiration some of his fans, like myself, would have shown him. He has one of the most recognizable voices in voice acting. He has over 150 roles to his name, spanning all manner of media from film to television to video games. Today, I am going to look at but 5 of my favorites. So, let's get dangerous.
But it's a long, long while from May to December. And the days grow short when you reach September. And the autumn weather turns the leaves to flame. And one hasn't got time for the waiting game. And the days dwindle down to a precious few.
Professor Werner from Twins. This part makes my list based solely on the fact that it was the first time I ever saw Tony Jay in live action. And even though Mr. J had limited screen time, darned if he didn't milk it for all it was worth. Looking back on it, I never would have watched this movie had Tony Jay not been in it. But I probably wouldn't have even watched it then either.
And the days dwindle down to a precious few.
King Forge from Armed and Dangerous. I remember seeing advertisements for this game in a few issues of EGM and thinking, wow, this looks kinda cool. Weird, but cool. And upon closer inspection, it is indeed weird, but cool. But what would you expect from the creators of such gaming gems as MDK, Earthworm Jim, and others? It's also probably one of the only games, or only anything, in which you'll see a Tony Jay character turn into a penguin.
What?
And the days dwindle down to a precious few.
The Elder God from Legacy of Kain. A few months ago, I read an article in the Houston Press website called 5 Actors Who Are Never Ever Going to Get Their Due, which I highly recommend. It is a very entertaining read, and I give kudos to the writer for knowing the same people that I know. Among the actors who were listed were such underrated greats as Mark Hamill, Andy Serkis, pro wrestler, Darth Maul, and of course, the collective cast of the Legacy of Kain series of video games. When I read that the Legacy of Kain cast was on the list, I thought to myself, those games must be pretty good. And you know what? They kind of are. Yes, it's a game about vampires, and everyone nowadays associates vampires with Twilight, but to heck with that. This is the way vampires should be done. And what better icing on the cake than Tony Jay as a Cthulhu-looking god character?
And the days dwindle down to a precious few.
Frollo from The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Whoa. That is all I can say for this character, just whoa. One of the most evil Disney villains I have ever seen, Judge Claude Frollo, was a huge shock to me. Because having grown up on Disney films, like all children my age, I was used to big, dumb jerks like Gaston, loud, shrill, idiotic old hags like Cruella de Vil, and silly hams like Professor Ratigan. But Frollo? Wow! Not only does he have the best voice out of all of them,
Sorry, Vincent Price.
but he also has one of the most iconic villain songs ever. Truly a monster that you love to hate, and one of Tony Jay's best roles of his career. I repeat, one of his best.
Now, you're probably saying, but Jack, Tony Jay's best role is Frollo. What could possibly top that? Well, I am so glad that you asked that, because that happens to be our next contestant. It's
Precious few.
Megabyte from Reboot. Yeah, like you didn't see this one coming. It's in the intro! You should have known. But anyway, if you're sitting at home and watching this, you're probably thinking one of two things. A, you think I am awesome and you love me and you want to have my babies and all that stupid garbage. Or B, you think I suck and that I'm a complete monster and that you want to shave my head and yank all of my teeth out, cut me to pieces, and bury those pieces with your dead puppy so he has something of a last meal as he descends into the fiery bowels of hell. If you are thinking the former, kudos. If you are thinking the latter, let me explain. Megabyte is one of the coolest villains in animation. Not only does he have the voice for it, but he has the monstrous deeds to match up for it. For crying out loud, he takes over the internet! You really, really cannot get more evil than that.
Megabyte got me into Tony Jay, and he will definitely go down in history as one of the greatest villains of all time. But to me, he will always be Tony Jay.
I come from the net. Infecting systems, people, and cities to this place. Megaframe. My domain. My format, virus. To corrupt and conquer.